Hi guys, so I wanted to record this two sessions video. The first video I will explain how the unit testing, global unit testing will work in regards to LiveGlam and all the refactored plugins and all the refactoring code that we will include here. And then I'm going to, in the second video, I'm going to record an example of how to refactor properly a code and how to create a unit testing for the code that has been refactored. So let's start with first step. So months ago, when I installed PHP unit and installed here, the idea was that if you wanted to run a unit testing you have to run it for each plugin, right? But I changed that. I made it so we can run all testing from the root of the project. So this means that if I'm in my console, what is this, in my command prompt, right, like this, I can position myself to the LiveGlam project and run PHP unit if I have that installed, and that will run all the unit testing for all the plugins that are in the system. So how will this work? If we go to the code, you will see that on the test there will be a new tests folder on the root of the project, and there's a bootstrap file here. And the bootstrap file, well, this is the one that that loads which projects should we include in the unit testing. Well, actually there are two files that we need to consider. The first file we need to consider is the following. We need to see on the root there's a file called phpunit.xml over here. And here you can see that we add the test suites that we want to include in the global unit testing. So this means that in the future, if we refactor a new plugin or we add in a new WordPress MVC plugin, then we need to add a new test suite here. And what it does here is just we add a name, right, for the test suite that probably is the same name as the plugin. And then we add the location of where the test cases are located for those tests. Okay, so that's step one. Step two would be to come to the bootstrap here, and if we scroll down in this file, that on this test bootstrap, you will see that there is a function here that's called manually load plugin. Okay. So this is important because here we indicate which plugins we want to load for the unit testing process. So here you can see that I have loaded WooCommerce as the first plugin I loaded, and then I start loading all the other custom plugins that work or that should be loaded for unit testing purposes. Take notice that I try to load here the WooCommerce subscriptions, but the way unit testing works here is that it doesn't run all the WordPress hook cycles. So it runs until a certain cycle, and then it stops and run all these tests in that cycle. So what do I mean with that? So let me try to look at the website for this. WordPress cycle hooks. So what I mean is the following. Let me switch for the Chrome. You will see that this is the cycle, the WordPress. The hook cycle in which WordPress triggers action hooks, right? So it triggers first the move plugins, then the register taxonomies, and this is the sequence in which hooks are executed by WordPress. Now when we run the PHP unit, it will not run all of them. Okay, I think it runs after, I'm not sure if is after init. I think it's after WordPress loaded. I think it's until this one, right? So it will not trigger all of this. And I've seen that for WooCommerce subscriptions plugin, I think it initializes everything in this hook, in the WordPress hook. So it will never get triggered by the PHP unit. That's why I have not included that plugin on the Bootstrap for all the unit testing, because it will not be loaded by a PHP unit at all. Okay. So once that's completed, we have that initial setup completed. But if we run the command will not work. Why? Why is that? That's because the testing needs what is this? A suite, the test suite to be installed somewhere. Okay. What is the test suite? What is WordPress test suite? Okay, so the test suite is a package of libraries that WordPress provides for developers, and includes all the needed functions and functionality for PHP unit to be compatible with WordPress. Okay, so that's a SVN repository that needs to be installed in your computer. It needs to be in this case needs to be cloned in somewhere in your computer, so you can access to that library and execute this file over here. So how can you indicate to your setup where is the test unit located, right? Where is the test suite located? For this, you will need to create a new file in the root that is called, instead of phpunit.xml, it should be phpunit.json. And here you will see that it will support two properties. The first one is where is the test suite located. In this case, I added the test suite where I cloned the library. Okay. And then I added I indicated what will be the config file that should be used for testing purposes. So if I come over here, you can ask me for this, but if you see in my setup, I have two config files. Right, one is the normal configuration file here for the normal PHP unit, for the normal testing of the site, and I have another one for the testing, right, that is specific for the unit testing. So this way I can run all the tests. And you can see if I come back to the command prompt where I type PHP unit, you will say that it run all 600 assertions, 227 tests that I included, and all passed. You will see that there are some skipped ones over here, the S ones, and this is because these are the ones that required a WooCommerce subscriptions functionality, but since it is not loaded based on all the concerns I talked about, then they are skipped by the PHP unit system, okay? But the PHP unit execution. So instead of us throwing an error, it says it's skipped probably because the functions that it required were not existing in the Bootstrap, or were not existing in the execution. Okay, so this is the base sample of how to set up your environment to be compatible with PHP unit and to run all tests as one. So ideally, you want to run this command before committing to the server, because what we're going to do is we're going to in the future, after well, after I finish integrating everything, we will make sure that when you commit something to the server, that PHP unit runs and checks that all tests are running correctly and there are no errors in the tests. So it will be better for you to run them locally in your computer or locally before you commit, so you make sure the commit will not fail because some tests did not pass. Okay, so that's it for the unit testing.